So, ladies and gentlemen, today on Screenshots, we're going to be looking at probably one of the most controversial Canadian movies of the 1970s. And this movie has been a big hit amongst people of my generation over the age of 40, but is starting to get more and more play amongst the modern viewers of Canadian cinema. And we're going to be talking about the Canadian French co production starring the great Jodie Foster in a film noir thriller or horror movie called The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. Now, The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane is a 1976, what they called at the time a cross genre film, directed by Nicholas Gessner and starred Foster, Martin Sheen, Alexis Smith, Mort Schumann, and Scott Jacoby. This Canada France co production was written by Laird Koenig based on the 1974 novel of the same title. Now, the plot focuses on a 13-year-old Rin Jacobs, played by Foster, a child whose absent cold father and secretive behaviors prod the suspicions of her conservative small-town Maine neighbors. The adaptation, originally intended as a play, was filmed in English Quebec on a small budget. And production later became the subject of controversy over reports that Foster had conflicts with the producers over filming and inclusion of a nude scene, which actually was done by her sister, who played a body double in the film. It was screened at the 1976 CanFilm Festival. A court challenge was launched regarding distribution, and a general release followed in 1977. Now, the critics didn't like it at first. It was released to mixed reviews, with some of them finding the murder mystery plot weak, but Foster's performance more meritorious, as the film won 2 Saturn Awards, including Best Horror Film. There were some rumors that might lead to Golden Globe or Oscar nominations, but it didn't. But it has hit cult status, with later critics positively reviewing the screenplay. Writers and academics have interpreted it as a statement on children's rights, and also placed it in numerous other categories, including thriller, horror, mystery, or other genres. Now, the basic plot is she's living by herself in this rented house with a very nosy neighbor, and the nosy neighbor wants to know why her mother is not there and why her father is not there. Now, in a small town of Wells Harbor, Maine, is not going over good in relation to her being so independent. Martin Sheen plays the son of her landlord, who may or may not be a pedophile, or may or may not be a young girl rapist. He's a very what do you call suspicious character. Other characters in the show, including a young boyfriend potential for the Rin character, a gentleman actually who is a magician who suffers from physical problems, and a relative of the young gentleman, a local cop, who becomes suspicious as well. Where everybody's wondering why she's living by herself, and not by herself, but with her father, with no mother. Now, it's a violent movie, but not violent in the way that a lot of people see these types of genres. There is physical confrontations. There's a very famous accidental death incident that keeps the plot going. Um, the Martin Sheen character is extremely, extremely dangerous. Probably the most dangerous predator you'll ever see in a mainstream movie. Now, the themes of young independence. Um, it was one of the first movies to talk about the fact that a 13-year-old might be smart enough to live by themselves or to live their own life they wanted. Some people saying the movie itself is a call for children's rights. When I first watched it in the late 1970s, I found it to be kind of a throwback to the old-fashioned Hitchcock movies, to the film noir movies. But see, Jodie Foster at the time, with Taxi Driver, with the Disney movies, with Bugsy Malone, she was probably one of the most acclaimed young actors throughout the world, and maybe only Jodie Foster could have played the female lead in this part. Now, the whole book was supposed to be turned to a play, and that's why when you watch it, it seems more like a play because there's only a handful of actors, and it could probably double as a play with the right, uh, you know, uh, scenario or whatever. But there's some very chilling scenes, literally, when a certain dead body has to be buried, and Jodie Foster and her new boyfriend have to basically dump the body in a wet grave in a property. It's a harbinger of things to come. Um, Actually, yeah, the worst scene in the movie has nothing to do with the leads. It's a very direct scene of animal cruelty conducted by Martin Sheen. Now, because it was released at the Cannes Film Festival, there was some argument as to how it's going to be distributed, either as a film noir or as a horror release. On its initial distribution, the film poster, which depicted the little girl who lives down the lane, tried to play up the horror aspect, kind of like a combination of Psycho and some of the slasher films of the mid 1970s. But for those watching it the first time, and it's probably one of the better. It's a top 50 Canadian movie of all time. That alone shows the pride, the musicmanship by actually Officer Migliorti, who played the one of the main characters in the movie, arranged the some of the music, but Schumann's arranger, Christine Gobert, wrote the bulk of the music, giving him the credit composer, while Schumann was listed as the music supervisor. And the music, again, in it is quite strong. Now, at the Saturn Awards again, it was won for Best Horror Film, Best Actress, nominated for Best Director, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Writing. And the critics have liked it better over the years. The film has a 90% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, while in his 2015 movie guide, Leonard Maltin gave the film 3 stars, declaring it as a complex, unique mystery. It is one of the hidden gems of the Canadian film industry. Um, it was basically not shown in during primetime hours because some people felt the directness of the plot. Not too often there wasn't many Canadian film noirs at the time. I think The Silent Partner, which came out a few years later, was comparable. But Jodie Foster deserved Oscar or Globe recognition. Don't really understand why at the Canadian Film Awards it didn't receive any major nominations. But again, Jodie Foster, she's luminous in this, strong performance. You believe everything she says. She wants to be left alone to be left to her own devices, and it just a set of unforeseen circumstances that she ends up with a dead body in the basement, and possibly 2 other dead members of her family, and she's got to not say clean up the evidence, but be careful and watch every step. It's definitely very difficult to see all the nuances just in one viewing. You have to watch it 2 or 3 times, and it ranks as one of my favorite Canadian movies of all time, just because to see a young Jodie Foster take a very modern script with throwbacks to the Brickton film noir style, it's quite strong. So on this COVID Wednesday, we wish everybody to have a great day. Stay safe. I guess Northern New Brunswick got a storm last night. In the previous podcast, I said to warn people about that. Might be another one coming in this week, so if you get snowed in, Hollywood Suite has the movie on regular rotation. Give it a look. And if you have a comment, like or subscribe, please do so. We're trying to reach 76,000 hits on this channel very soon. So thanks to all. Have a good day.